Welcome to the Gridiron Circle, featuring Mike Hollis, Troy Hambrick, Coach Robby Wells, and JW the Wingman. Four perspectives, unfiltered analysis, the stories behind the game. This is the Gridiron Circle. Welcome, everybody, to the Gridiron Circle. I'm your host, Jason Wilson, and also known as JW the Wingman. Welcome, gentlemen. Robby Wells, the coach, and Troy Hambrick, former running back for the Dallas Cowboys. How y'all doing today?
Both of us are doing great, I think. I can't speak for Troy, but I'm doing great to be here, be able to see Troy again. You know, it's been a long time. We did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, but Troy and I got a history together way back at USC when he was in college.
Yeah, and it appears that we walked over the same steps, man, in multiple states. And it's amazing how we say the world is big, and man, it's actually a little smaller than what we thought.
The older you get, Troy, the more you realize that the world really is a small place.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is,
Yeah.
man. Yes, and I mean, to have the same vision, trying to develop, looking for what's next in life, I tell you, it's been a heck of a journey.
And at the same time, being able to give back to other people that are up and coming.
Yes.
You know, the younger generation that are looking for some guy. I tell you what, this younger generation right now, if there's anybody out there, and I've said this before, Troy, but if there's anybody out in this young generation, this Gen Z right now, that has some work ethic to them, they will go so far in life.
Yes,
because most of them are.
Yes,
I'm if I'm talking to you out there and you're lazy, get off your butt. Let's go. Because that Gen Z, I'm telling you right now, if there's somebody in that Gen Z that has some kind of work ethic, man, they can go far.
They can go far, man.
Yeah.
So many opportunities, so much exposure out there. You can sit at the house and you can either play video games or you can put your work out on the mainstream and give somebody an opportunity to give you an opportunity. And we just got to put that video game down a little bit, man, and get back to the old way where mom put you out the door early in the morning and she hands you water through the window. Don't come back in here. You stay behind out that door and play.
Stay on out there and play. That's right. I know back when you and I were kids, in fact, when all three of us were kids, you'd come home from school and mom say, "You're staying out until dark."
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you come to the house and I'm gonna make you wash dishes, and but my mom was strict, and man, she meant that, and that changed the world for us to get out and to talk to people, to interact, and learn how to treat people, know how to you get in trouble, how to work yourself out. We're missing it, man. Nowadays, everybody's shut up and shut in and don't know how to communicate, and that's what you're missing.
Yeah, and then when they do try to communicate, you're seeing all these riots break out everywhere now. It is. It's a sense of we need to really get back to the meat and potatoes of it, dealing with each other and realizing that even though we may look different, we're really not. We've got way more in similarities than we do in differences.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do. And we're running through, and we're actually living through the same thing. It's just on different platforms, but we're dealing with the same issues, and that's called life and this high cost living that we're dealing with. I enjoy going to the Cowboys club, and one thing Mrs. Jones has set up there is that it's a no phone policy, so that makes you engage with the people that's in there.
Right.
It's not all this here on the phone, putting it on. You got to put those phones up. You come here to socialize your network, get to know someone, and I appreciate that.
I think that's wonderful, and I think we should do that more. In fact, I've heard billionaires actually talk that if you ever get the opportunity to go sit with them at a table, the worst thing that you could ever do is pull your phone out.
Yeah.
While you're sitting there with them, pay very close attention to what the conversation is about. Stay engaged and in the moment instead of staying engaged with something that's really not even real, which is your phone.
Right. That's right. A bird in the hand is better than the one in the bush.
That's right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, gentlemen, let's introduce ourselves. Robby, you can begin.
Okay, so I'm Robby Wells, former college football coach. Did that for about 20 years, coaching in the SEC, where I had the opportunity to work with Troy at the University of South Carolina, and then went on down to South Carolina State University as a defensive coordinator. and ended up at Savannah State as the head football coach. And so now, of course, I'm into the politics and the speaking and going all over the place, doing all that, and trying to make this world a better place. So here we are.
Yeah. Well, my name is Troy Hambrick. I'm a former NFL player, ex-Gamecock, ex-Savannah State Tiger. Um, yeah, I'm here to revitalize my life, to put a word of inspiration out there that you can get knocked down and you don't have to stay down. You can find your way back up with communication, with the team of guys that are around you. I'm telling you, just tapping back into community, knowing that you're not the only one going through something, talking about it, trying to put knowledge out there that you can change and you will change if you make the right decisions and get around the right people.
I'm Jason Wilson. I'm a pastor and also podcast producer. I've been in this business now for 6 years. I'm a newly formed pastor of our church, Soul Sanctuary International. And, it's my job to create spaces and stages where professional athletes, retired athletes can have the opportunity to transition to something purposeful in their lives. And here we are. So, gentlemen, one of the things that is of high concern this particular season are injuries. And Troy, you've been injured and you had to stop your career a little prematurely because of an injury. Tell us about that, brother.
Yeah, well, injuries me was, I hurt my foot down in Arizona. Just didn't go about the business the right way. Doing this game that we play, you're gonna get nicked up, you're gonna get banged up, and there's a difference between an injury and you're hurting. And I had to learn that early on when I first did my first training camp with the Cowboys. And I go back and tell a story about my brother. I stayed in the training room my rookie year. My brother had been there 2 years by then, and I kept going to the injury, talking to the trainers. Man, I'm hurting here, I'm hurting there. And man, my brother came in there and he got on my behind. You're hurting. You're not injured. You have to be available. You have to be available, and that's what I remember, man. To overcome, that feeling of saying I can't go. Overcoming, protecting the investment, overcoming the doubtness in your mind. So, yeah, it ended. My injury down in Arizona was a foot injury that I just didn't take care of the proper way. And this time in my career, I felt, in my mind, I had another 5 or 6 years to go. And yeah, I just didn't take care of the injury. I didn't take care of my body the right way, and it put me in a bad position.
From your perspective, coach, you've seen several situations where players have been injured. How did you deal with that? Did you take them? Did you sit them down for the rest of the season? What's your perspective on that?
Well, that's the one thing in football that I hated, which was the injuries, and especially when it hits real close to home. I'll never forget going up to Neyland Stadium in Tennessee, and when Anthony Wright literally tore
Wow.
every ligament in his knee, and that was Peyton Manning's senior year,
Yeah.
and seeing that happen and realizing, you know, even as great as an athlete as Anthony was, and we all called him Superman, A1.
Oh, A1.
Um, we are all frail when it comes to injuries. I mean, we're just one step away from something like that occurring. One thing that I will say about an injury like that, and Andre Goodman was another one. Same
Yes, he
thing.
was. Yes, he was.
Same thing happened to him against the University of Georgia, right there in Gamecock Stadium in Williams-Brice. But one thing I'll say about those two young men that had horrific knee injuries, both of them put in the work in the off season and ended up rehabbing and coming back and not only playing again there in college, but going on and playing for a number of years in the NFL. That's what I love seeing. I love seeing the comeback story with that. I remember when Jerry Rice tore his ACL when he was playing with the 49ers early in the season, and late in the season he came back and played. he had rehabbed it the whole year and actually was able to come back. I mean, wow. You think about an ACL and be able to actually come back before the end of the year and play. That's saying something right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of knees, gentlemen, our quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix, this is his third ACL tear.
Yeah.
I mean, the first two, he was able to come back without any problem. He's dealing with this third one. We have a little tape from the interview with Cam Newton. We're going to take a look at that, and I want to get both of your perspectives on that, and we'll check that out, and then we'll come back here.
Sure.
First of all, I got to get healthy. That's where it started at. For me, like, I know what I can do when I'm healthy. So everything I'm doing every day is to find a way to get better each and every day, get stronger, get healthier so that I can go do what I do. So that's right now, that's what I'm looking at.
What percentage would you say you are?
Right now, I'm close. I'm probably like 85, 90. Like the only thing I ain't do right now is contact. Mm-hmm. So I'm really staying away from like 11 on 11 because we don't want nobody accidentally, falling. So I mean, I'm straight. Like I've been through it. Like this my third ACL now. So it's like I've been through it two times before, and it's like it's just part of it. It's part of my story. And I feel like, whenever I come back and I do come back healthy and I go do the things that, I need to do, the things that I know I can do, it's just going to be another thing where they look at like, how did he get through that? How did he overcome that? And I'm just going to say nothing but God, for real. So
did you know at that moment that it was an ACL?
No, I didn't, because it didn't feel like the last two. It didn't feel like the last two. It's crazy, because crazy story is like, I got MRI tested and everything, and it's like they're looking at the MRI. They're like, okay, it didn't look like I tore my ACL on the MRI. Yeah, like these doctors looking at it, and then like I go into surgery because like I'm talking to my doctor that I did surgery with, and he's like, all right, let's do the surgery. I'll go in there, see what's going on. So like really, the surgery was to go see what was going on.
So you didn't even know. You know you about to go under the knife, but I don't know what.
So I wake up out of surgery, and the doctor's like, you did tear your ACL. So I'm like, okay, well, I got this rehab to do all over again, but it's crazy because like looking at MRIs, it didn't look like a normal ACL tear.
A couple things that I want to kind of get into. And do you see yourself, and what time frame would not just the doctor's prognosis, but for you to give yourself the ability to come back this season? Is it the first 3 games, 4 games? Do you start the season? Like, what does that process look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I want to start. I want to start the first game of the season, but at the end of the day, it's about how I feel. So it's like, it's not really a time frame on it. It's more like, it's like some small, like growing pains that, I go through that I got to make sure, I'm at 100% to where it's like, when I get out there, I don't want to be thinking about it. Because like a lot of it is mental. It's like, all right. Yeah, it's like physically, I got a good ACL. The doctors, they did what they got to do. I can go out there and do anything. But mentally, you hesitate. And it's like, do I trust it?
Can I give you free game, bro?
What's that?
And I'll use my story to give you perspective. I suffered 2 major injuries in my career. One was a shoulder, and another one was a lens frame. My Achilles heel, no pun intended, my whole football history, ever since I started playing at the age of 7, was an ankle sprain. I get the lens frame on a non-contact injury, and I never heard of that word. They said it was an ankle, it's a foot sprain. Yeah. I'm like, week 1 go by, week 2, it's like, nah, this is a little different than a foot sprain. I don't feel myself progressively getting better. I tell you this story because the hardest thing for me to understand and cope with was getting out of my own way. If I could go back and redo things, I would have set out a whole season because I wasn't healthy. Yeah. We already had a person on the roster by the name of Kyle Allen. I call him Lovey-Dovey. He was on the roster and he was playing damn good football. Yeah. My pride was like, yo, I'm ready to go back. But my intuition was telling me I'm not healthy. Yeah. I tell you this because from quarterback to quarterback, bro, it's unfortunate, but you're on the clock. Yeah. I would hate for you to come back from an injury knowing, and only you can answer this, knowing that you're not 100% being on the clock, because when I jumped back out there, being on the clock, everybody started judging. That ain't Cam.
Yeah.
And he trash. He washed up. I can't come out and say, I'm not healthy.
Yeah.
Because when the doctors ask, when the coaches ask, when your team asks, can you go? Yeah, I can go. And I use that example because as a young player, bro, young player, as a quarterback,
Yeah.
you are held to a standard that not a lot of people can go to, or a lot of people have. There's multiple receivers on the field. There's multiple D linemen, 3 techs, like shades, running backs, whatever. But there's only one quarterback.
Yeah.
So let this be a proverb to let you know, don't come back until you're ready.
Yeah. Nah, for sure.
All right. There's so much that we can glean from that conversation right there. Starting with you, Coach. Based on what Cam said, what do you think that Michael should do?
Well, the one thing that I will say is this: quitters never win, winners never quit. So the one thing he can't do is quit. He's got to rehab to get himself, back in a position where he could actually compete. And the one thing I'll say about football is a young man's game.
Amen.
Even if you only play 10 years in the NFL, which is way longer than the average tenure, which is less than 3 seasons.
Amen.
You finish up at the end of your career, you're still a very young man. I mean, Tom Brady was considered ancient when he retired, and he was still early 40s.
40.
Okay. Yeah. So he, my advice is get in there, do the work, get yourself rehabilitated. Romans 8:28 says all things work together for the good for those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. It doesn't say for everybody, it says for those that love God. Got to get your heart right. Make sure that your priorities are in order, and then it'll all end up working to the good.
Amen.
Amen. Amen on that. Troy, what did you get from that conversation and Cam's advice?
I have to be careful here because Michael Penix's family is from my hometown down in Dade City, Florida. So, I just think going back, following him over his career and the unfortunate injuries that come along with him. And it's always one of the knees, and one time it was the shoulder. So I appreciate Cam giving him good advice. That's good advice. That's a team player that Cam is talking about. But you got to have that mentality that, hey, it's not about me, it's about us. So if I'm not in position, then I have to pass on the ranks. And as I look at today's news, I see they have Tua starting, for the first preseason game. And that goes to show you that he's not quite there yet. And will he be there? Already coming into the draft, it was already the notion that he shouldn't have been selected there from the start. So that add more pressure on his availability and his position. And I think that he has to prepare for the season and further on down the line. You got kids you're going to raise. You want to be there in some context of being able to chase behind them. So, NFL stands for not for long. And with today's era now, on top of that, if he can take a deep breath and say, hey, maybe I'm not the franchise quarterback at this moment, I see the NFL picking up Joe Flacco. You can come in later in your career and still be as effective.
Yeah.
And I really don't know if Atlanta is built structurally for him. If you got a pocket quarterback like Michael Penix Jr. that can sling the ball anywhere across the field, then I think you have to go more with a Tom Brady's line of scrimmage where you're going to protect him. And I think that's one of Atlanta's weakest spot there is protecting him in the pass coverage. So they give Robinson the big deal. So, they give him the big deal, the big payday. So they letting you know the direction they're going in. Now, we're giving Robinson that big deal because running backs haven't been getting that type of money. And, they're showing you by the deal that the strength is in the running back room. So I'm praying for him. I love the family. I want the best for him on the field and off the field, but more off the field because he can do so much in the afterlife of his career.
And if I could just add this one thing about NFL, about life, we as people, we'll sit here and we'll think, well, this injury just occurred, life's over for this guy, or the team is just going to go in the tank now. You really don't know what's going to happen. And I go back to that story uh, with Dick Vermeil. He had been the head coach for the Eagles for many years, and then he was let go. He was out of the game for about 5 or 6 years, I believe, and then all of a sudden he's head coach again of the Rams. And this was back when they were still in St. Louis.
Yes, sir.
And they go into preseason, and lose their first two quarterbacks. And they lost one of them right there on like the last drive of the last preseason game. And I remember the post-game interview with Dick Vermeil, and he was an emotional type guy, and he had tears in his eyes, literally streaming down his face. He says, "I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to pick up the pieces and we're going to move forward." He says, "And we're going to do it with our third quarterback," which was a guy that only played 1 year as a starter in college, and he had actually been a stock boy in a grocery store, and that's Kurt Warner.
Yes.
And then the rest is history. Kurt comes on the scene, starts throwing darts all over the field, got his first win, of course, against the Ravens right there at home in St. Louis. And then they go on this crazy run the entire season and end up winning the Super Bowl.
Man.
So what I'm saying is sometimes it looks like it's a tragic sense of what's going on, but it could end up being a huge blessing. You never know.
You never know. You never know, and that's why you cry when you see a guy go down. That's why you're
Right.
so heartfelt when you see a guy, because you know the preparation that he's put into his craft. And man, when you see him go down, man, it touches a little bit deeper. And man, I've seen the locker room cry. I was on the practice squad. I seen Troy Aikman come in after a hard hit that ended up ending his career. And man, to see the hurt and the fire that was in his eyes, knowing that it was coming to an end. Man, I just looked at him because I seen my 1 or 2 years, the work that he's put into his craft, and nobody want to see it end. Nobody want to see it end, especially with an injury. Everybody got this notion that they're going to end their career the way they want to end it, and it doesn't work that way. When you see guys get drafted, they come in crying, and they leave when it's time for them to retire 15, 10, 7 years. You leave out crying. It's never enough. It's never enough.
Absolutely. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys organization. Now,
I knew something.
we got some interference, Troy.
Okay, yeah. It's dragging on me.
You there, Troy? Oh,
He'll come back.
okay. He'll be back. Let me start with you, Coach. Now, obviously, Dak Prescott is the franchise quarterback. But again, we're talking.
As well as
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're dealing with another player who's been plagued with injuries in the past. He's still dealing with that. Is there anybody else within that organization that can take his place? God forbid that, he's not able to finish the season with the Cowboys.
We're getting an awful lot of feedback. Can you guys hear that as well, or is it just me?
I'm good on my end.
Okay. All right.
Dang it.
So Dak Prescott is one of those players. If you look at his statistics, it's been real frustrating, of course, for a lot of Cowboy fans, especially the past 2 years, because he has had the statistics of being, the upper echelon of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, and their offense has really performed, but they haven't been able to do it and rise to the occasion on the defensive side. One thing I will say about Dak or about any starting quarterback, you've got a quarterback team room that they go into every day, and that second string quarterback, he is one play away play away from having to actually go in. I remember when Steve Berline had to go in for Troy Aikman, and I'm sure you remember that too, Troy, when you were still in college when this happened, but
Yes, sir.
but they they had to put Berline in the game because Troy had gotten hurt. He hurt his knee, and Berline just picked up right where Troy left off and got them into the playoffs. And then of course Troy was able to come back and they went on. And then I think about Emmitt Smith playing against the Giants. And he has that one real long run. And when he got tackled, he goes down on his right shoulder and then it's popped out. But you know what? Emmitt Smith was a warrior. They popped it back in. He comes back in and plays. And I don't know if you remember, but I remember watching that game. You know, as a running back, you're always taught keep that ball on the outside arm. But once he got hurt, he had to keep it in that left hand the whole time, even if it was the inside arm.
Yeah.
So, but he still was so effective in that game, and of course they won that game. But you know, I see stuff like that, and then I think about the time that Dallas went and they played in San Francisco against the 49ers, and this was when Tony Romo was starting quarterback. Tony Romo gets sacked, punctures a lung. He's only got one lung that's actually functioning. Okay, comes he has to go out of the game, right there when it happened, but comes back to the game, leads his team down, and actually comes back and wins that game with one lung, one functioning lung. You want to talk about a warrior? No, that's a warrior.
It's a warrior.
And the one thing I will say about any kind of team, and Troy, you touched on this, being injured and being hurt is two different things. It's two
Yeah.
completely different things. But when you can find someone that can play a little bit when they're injured, like
Mm,
Tony
mm,
Romo did that
mm,
time,
mm.
oh man, that's a warrior.
That's a
That's a
warrior.
warrior.
And that's what you look for. That's what you look for, man. And that's why I think the quarterbacks get the big bucks. I think that's why they get the big bucks because there's so much pressure on them. There's a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott, and we can see the firepower that he has. My hope and dreams is that we lay heavy on the run this year, and take some of that pressure off him, and give the other players an opportunity, to make a play or so. I've been watching Dak for a while now, and it seems like it's always that moment where it feels though he let the team down. And I think it's just, I think we just got to operate differently. We got to move that ball out of his hand and put it in the running back's hand. The Cowboys is nothing without the running back, and Emmett showed you that. Emmett shows you that, and if you can control the ground game, I think that gives the defense time enough to get their stuff together. And that's what I'm hinging on this year. I'm looking for a big year out of Williams. I want to get we know we got CD Lamb. I know we got Pickens. I know we got Ferguson, but I want to see us get to that running game, get back to the nasty boys.
Well,
The
we should be
nasty
able
boys.
to. I think we should be able to simply because you've got all the firepower out on the perimeter with those receivers,
Yeah,
Pickens, okay,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and you've also got CeeDee Lamb and the other guy. You got that real fast guy, the fastest guy in the NFL
Turpin.
plays for Dallas.
Yeah,
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 plays
yeah,
for the Dallas
Turpin.
Cowboys. You take those three guys and you put them out there. Now, a defense, they have to play them legit. They can't stack a box. And if you can't stack the box and you got a good running back and a decent line, you can run the ball up and down the field.
Amen. Amen. So that's me with Dak. I don't have a problem. I think Jerry has everybody in place. I just want to see what we do with this running game. I understand. I want to see what we do with this running game. Our best years with him and Ezekiel Elliott was when they was running the read option. Man, we gave Seattle hell down in Seattle from that read option. And man, and then you give Dak the big deal. Now Dak stays in the pocket now since he's got the big deal. And I don't like that. I need 30, 40 yards out of Dak every game. And I think we'll be fine. I think he will still bring a presence to open it up. That's just my take with the Cowboys.
Well, and I'm with you. And a lot of people are still wreathing and upset about Micah Parsons being traded away. And I just say, history repeats itself. If you look back in the 90s when Jerry Jones first came on the scene with the Cowboys, He took the best player on that team back then, which was Herschel Walker, and traded him away.
Yeah.
And he did that to get all those other picks, those future picks. And you know what? Seems like that might be just the thing that Dallas needed, was to open up a lot of room for other players to come in, which has happened. Half of it probably happened this draft, and then probably the next half, I guess, will come this coming season or this next draft.
Yeah, and I feel that on top of his play, he was injured. He had injury prone with Michael Parsons. I felt that was the right move to make. And then you get a cancer out of the locker room, because once again, it's about the team. It ain't about and I think that changed the whole dynamics of the Cowboys team now.
I'm with you. Absolutely. That's
right,
why I
so
always liked having you in the locker room, Troy, because your personality was contagious. Okay.
I thank you.
In a good way, contagious. You can have a bad personality and be a cancer, and that can be contagious too.
Yes,
And
sir.
you have to do the surgery and get rid of that cancer. But in your case, man, I wish we had about 30 guys like you in that locker room.
Man, they need a big brother like I had with Darren.
Oh yeah.
Darren came down with the hammer, and I'm still trying to be big brother, and he still won't let me. I'm saying I'm 49 years old, man. Can I? It's just how it is, man. Never, I had a piece of a daddy, and man, you turn around and I had a whole daddy within my brother. And man, he
Right.
led me. He did everything he can do to lead me down the right road and give me the opportunity that you will want to pass down to a little brother. And then I passed it on down to generations to come.
That's unbelievable.
gentlemen, I'm going to start with you, Troy. Do you think that the league is doing enough to help players in that transition from their sport to real life afterwards?
No, oh man, there's so many programs out there. I can't take it from the NFL. If you go back and you read the fine print and then you go to some of these meetings that they have lined up for you, I think it's a lot of resources there. Where do you fit in those resources is where the question becomes. And are you mature enough to put yourself in position? At my time, I wasn't mature enough to go to a meeting after practice, to practice early, to go to a meeting, an NFLPA meeting, a 401k meeting, however have you, And it's all about the maturity level. And once again, just like it's only so many that can play the NFL game, it's only so many that has that maturity level, and then you will see it. You see guys in position, and they're like, "Man, it comes from that meeting I went to. It comes from me meeting such and such that you're supposed to have met, and you decided not to show up." So it's a lot of resources there, and they know it's a lot of things that we go through. And I feel that the resources is there. Do we act on it? Is where I'm at. We usually have to get knocked down first to then fall back on help, and I'm one of them. I'm one of them that thought I had it right, thought I had 6 or 7 more years where I can recover and then be the model citizen, the model athlete, and it just didn't pan out what I thought, and you got to take it serious from day one. If you don't take it serious from day one, it's going to be hard to catch up.
What do you think, Coach?
Yeah, he brings up a really good point. There's some programs out there to help the players once their career is pretty much done. The fact of the matter is, most of them don't utilize that. I've said the same thing about our military, our government. They do such a great job preparing our personnel, our military personnel, to go to battle and go to war to fight, but they don't do such a good job of preparing them to come back to regular civilian life.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because we're all just focused on actually producing with what matters in everybody else's mind, which is the W's, getting the W instead of the L. Okay. And with that being said, a lot of times transitioning back into regular life is lacking because of that. And
Yeah.
because of that, then you see depression, then you see all sorts of other things set in that we don't need to see.
Yeah. And for me, when I transitioned back to my hometown, which is Lacucci, Florida, that nobody knows about. You know, you go back into a town that don't really have any resources, and in actuality, if you look at it, they was counting on you to be the resource. So when I return back to my hometown personally, you know, I'm looking around and they're looking at me. So, you know, I give my resources to where I feel like I could get a profitable return on it. And at the end of the day, I was giving it to the wrong people. I was giving my time and energy to the wrong people, and I gave my resources away where it left me depleted. And then I converted to a life of criminality, was getting into the drug game, you know, finding the next hookup, you know, trying to find the next dollar to be able to withhold this lifestyle that I've created. Because in the NFL, once you make that roster and things are going well, man, you start to create stuff. Do you not see the podcast Mike said? Mike said, I got 7 homes in Florida. I got 30 people. I got family members that ain't paid rent in 30 years. You know, you know, and you know, it wasn't my case, but in so many cases, it was my case. It was my brother's case. It's so many other guys around the world case that people are relying on you, and it's blood family and it's not family, but they still, you know, they bought you a pair of sneakers, you know, in Pop Warner, and now they want a house. So, you know, and I failed, you know, and I am able to say now at 49, I failed my community, you know, and I thank God I have a chance to step back into the realm of things and say, hey, you know, I was wrong. I could have did better, and I'm going to do better moving forward.
Well, listen, man, God is all about second chances, and that's why you're here today, man. You know, you got a call on your life, and I honestly believe that God is going to do some phenomenal things through you, brother.
Thank you, man. He is working. He is working. He is working.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I will second that, Jason, because I've known Troy for a very long time, and you know, no man is perfect. We all have our imperfections. We all have our frailties, but there is a thing called redemption. And I know that you know, Troy, you've been down a path. I've been down a path, and we both have been redeemed. And that's where you kind of are right now, Troy, which is an awesome place to be, actually, because there's so many young guys out here that are needing that direction that you can give them, which is wonderful that you're actually doing that with your foundation.
Yes, yes, giving back. Giving back what's left. What's left is your name. What's left is your legacy. What's left is, man, where will your time be accounted for? And it has to be worth something. And to give back now, man, to go through, to know that it's a brighter side on the other side. You know, if you're in that moment now where you're in hell, why stay there? You got to keep going. If you're in this moment in your life right now where you feel like you're in hell and things are not going well, why stop? It got to be a better side. And that's where I've been at, man, just chugging along. Lost my wife 6 months ago, dealing with my girls, you know,
Yeah.
dealing with my boys, trying to find a common ground. You know, we're in the blaming game. We are remorseful. We hurt, you know. And at the end of the day, when I get on my knees, I say, Lord, let them see it through me that we got to keep going. You know, we love mom to death, but we got to keep going. We can't stop here. We can't stop here. And that's been my walk, man. And I've been blessed with a pastor, Julian Ford. Now we grew up together, man. He's been my pastor for a while, and man, he's picked me up where I was down. And you know, we need more people like that in the world. Like he's building a better man. God is working through him for us to be able to say, hey, you know, what have you been through? What have you overcome? You know, it's not all good stories, man, but it's a good story at the end if you keep pressing.
That's right, because successful people are successful because they find the adversity in their life and they find a way to overcome it.
Yes.
Those that don't overcome the adversity end up being very average at best. Those that are successful, those that are the winners, that are the champions, are the ones that find a way to overcome it. However they have to do it,
Yes,
they
sir.
do it.
Yes, sir. And they do these 30 for 30 shows all the time. And man, they're so engulfed, you know, and so much in there about the ups and downs. You know, man, them little hick towns, man, those prison sentences, the death in the family. You know, I met a guy last night at a pool hall. He said, man, I lost my mom at 23, and then I turn around and lose my dad at 29. And man, I'm talking about back to back. And all I could do was just sit there. I thought I had a sob story. And all I could do was just sit there and listen to him, man. And man, he said, man, Troy, we're going through similar things, just at different points in life. And man, I say, man, I agree totally, man. Testimony, being able to talk about it, being able to communicate,
Right.
not feeling like you're bigger than someone else.
Absolutely. Uh, this is going to be a phenomenal show, y'all. Not only are we reflecting on the season, but we're talking about life stories that can actually change the trajectory of people's lives as well. And so I'm just, I'm blessed and honored to be here with y'all on that. Now let's take a look at the games for this week. So let's take a look at the Lions Bengals. What do y'all think about that game? Let's start with you, Troy.
You said the Lions and Bengals?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lions and Bengals. The Lions and Bengals, man. You got Joe Burrow, which probably won't play. You got a Detroit team that has high expectations, but they've lost their offense coordinator and their defense coordinator. So they're fumbling. I think Dan Campbell is on the hot seat this year. So we're looking. They're looking for a resurgence there in Detroit. They're looking for a resurgence there in Detroit.
Coach, what do you think about this game?
Well, anytime that you are going up against a team that Dan Campbell is coaching, you're going up against a team of warriors, and you never count out those Detroit Lions under Dan Campbell. And of course, he played for the Lions, so it's very personal to him.
Yeah.
He always wants to make sure that those guys are performing at their optimal level. So, yeah, I would have to go with Detroit.
All right, I'm going with Detroit as well. Let's take a look at the Packers Steelers. What do you think, Troy?
Steelers. Packers. Yeah, I'm trying to find me. You say Packers Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find me. Yeah, Packers Steelers. Packers Steelers. You got high expectations. I'm gonna go with the Packers there. I'm not sure which direction the Pittsburgh Steelers is going in with McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers.
No, I'm gonna disagree with you there, Troy. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Okay,
Yes, sir.
he's got all of the intangibles. Of course, this is a preseason game. Who knows how much he even plays? But the fact that he's there and he's interjecting into those young kids that are just now coming on to the scene right now. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
I don't know how much impact losing the coach of the Steelers had on the team,
I think so.
but
That's right.
I'm gonna go for the Packers on this one.
Yeah, I like that. A little more stable with LaFleur down there. A little more stable.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the Colts Patriots.
Colts Patriots. Yeah, got two teams that was on the coast of Patriots. Got two teams that came alive last year. It was good to see the New England Patriots, take the next step, the post whatever Tom Brady, So yeah, you got Jonathan Taylor and those guys. I'm quite sure he'll be resting. I see he had a new deal this year. I'm happy about that. The running backs are getting back solidified in the NFL game. I'll take the Colts there.
I like Mike Vrabel, and I like what he's doing there with the Patriots. And of course, they had a few years there after Tom Brady left that they did flounder for a while. But seems like he's got them moving back in the right direction. Those preseason games, everybody wants to come out and do very well because, believe it or not, those games actually do mean something as far as momentum going into the regular season, that first regular season game. So I'm going to go with the Patriots.
Man,
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with the Patriots as well.
I
Take
understand.
a look at the Cardinals Raiders.
Cardinals Ravens.
Raiders.
Raiders, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Cardinal Raiders. Two teams without much expectation, still rebuilding, still. The Cardinals played well last week with the Hall of Fame game, exciting game. The fans are excited. Carson Beck is coming along. Um, you know, Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals there.
Well, the Cardinals may win, but I do like the fact that the head coach of the Raiders says that Mendoza is going to see a lot of playing time in this game. Of course, we know what Mendoza can do. We've seen him win a national championship
Yeah.
and get all the awards that go with it.
Amen.
And he didn't get that because he was a slack.
Yeah.
He's the real deal. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see that. I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Oh, Raiders on that one. Okay.
Yeah, I want to see.
Uh,
I want to see. I'm sorry. I want to see Mendoza against the NFL type defense. See when you see what
Yeah,
happens when they take his strengths away. See do he make the right check off, the right reads?
exactly.
So they're going to apply some pressure to him. I want to see it.
I do too.
yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go for the Cardinals on this one. They had a great game against Carolina, which, came down to the wire at the
Yeah.
end. But still, yeah, I'm going to go for the Cardinals on that one.
Amen. Smart man.
Next, the Chargers Texans.
I think you first this time, Rob. I ain't got to be wrong every time now.
Well, you're not wrong. The game hadn't been played, so none of us are wrong.
Yeah.
We'll be wrong after the games are played, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, CJ Stroud, he's quite a talent. I'm looking forward to seeing what he builds on this year with those Texans, and let's just see. One thing about the preseason is they let all these young guys get an opportunity, which is great because they're all trying to make that team. They really are. Think about your rookie season, Troy, back when you were there.
Man.
Thank goodness they gave you the opportunity to actually get out there and prove yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what it's about. It's about getting out and understanding that you only have a limited set of reps, and you have to do something with it. You can't make the club in the tub, you know. And I think Houston is. I think up under Demarcus down there. I think they're poised to make a Super Bowl run this year with the addition of Montgomery. So Houston got man, they're stacked. They're stacked.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna go Houston there.
me too.
Yeah, I agree on them Texans, man. They got a strong team. Actually, they had a great season last year. I think it's just going to be a continuation of that this season.
And one of my old coaching buddies is down there in Houston right now. I had the chance to coach with Charlie Strong. He was defensive coordinator there at USC.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then he went on to be the head coach at the University of Texas and South Florida and Louisville. But he's there, and I'm telling you right now, defensively, he's as good a coach, as good a player coach as you're going to find anywhere.
Oh yeah, I agree totally. I met Charlie there at the University of South Carolina. I had already met Charlie up at the University of Florida. My brother was there for 2 years.
Yep.
So they're poised, man. They're poised. I think with the addition of Montgomery to that offense to get the ball out of C.J. Stroud hands some. Once again, it's do you utilize the running back position? And I think the addition of Montgomery was going to be a big factor.
So let me give you guys a little trivia quiz real quick. Who at the University of South Carolina used to run every morning with Charlie Strong for 4.5 miles and get whipped?
Robbie Wells.
Robbie Wells. That's exactly right.
Him and Dennis Tripp. I was there with
And
Dennis
Dennis
Tripp,
Tripp.
man. Coach
Yes.
Tripp, man. Coach Tripp used to bust out behind, and I mean, Coach Tripp had to be about 6'2", and man, I'm talking about Coach Tripp was physically fit too, but Charlie was a different beast.
Charlie was a different beast, and of course we'd meet there at the stadium at 6 a.m. in the morning, and we take off running. I could stay with him the first 3 miles, but that last mile and a half, he would kick it into a gear that I couldn't go to. And he was 9 years older than me. He's just 9 years older than me and crazy. Yeah.
Let Papa take you to school, huh?
Basically, Papa was taking the young boy to school. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Troy, what do you think about the 49ers Titans?
49ers Titan. Interesting to see how many reps Cam get, see how he's evolved. I think more reps with him coming out of Miami. Hopefully, they have a better team put together. But I think San Francisco is it's added on some pieces, and I think they're looking to take a bite out of crime this year.
Yeah.
Again, this is preseason, so I don't know how much Christian McCaffrey is going to play, but one of the greatest running backs in the league right now. And of course, he actually played with the Panthers for a good long time.
Mhm.
But those 49ers, you talk about that NFC. Ooh, that's the team you got. That's the team. If you're going to win a championship, you got to beat the 49ers or you got to beat the Packers.
Yes, sir.
If you can beat those teams, you can win a Super Bowl.
You can win one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go for the Titans on this one. We'll see what happens.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
All right, let's take a look at my team. Falcons, Broncos. I'll lead with this one. Of course, we got to be really, really careful with Michael Penix. I don't know how long he's going to play, if he plays at all in this game. We need to rest him up for the regular season. And even then, I don't think he should come back that early for that first game of the regular season. So we'll see what happens on that. But anyway, I'm going to go Falcons over the Broncos for this one.
Oh, get your heart out of it, brother. Get your heart out of it. You got Stefanski first year there. Don't know what type of atmosphere, what kind of locker room that he's going to have. With the guys be together. You got Jalen Walker. He's hurt at defense end, end up going out. So I'm gonna go with the other team. Who's the other team? I forgot.
The Broncos.
Broncos. Yeah, you got my man Sean Payton. Man, Sean Payton was my offense coordinator here at Dallas with Bill Parcells. So I'm rocking with Bo Nix in the game.
Well, and you know, Troy, that Sean Payton is a no nonsense guy, and he demands excellence from his players. And of course, you got Bo Nix as the quarterback. I don't know how much Bo will play in this game because, of course, Bo got hurt in the AFC Championship game, like literally the last play of the AFC Championship. So with that being said, I think that Sean will probably have them ready to play that game, and I'm going to go with the Broncos.
Yeah, Sean is one of those guys that is a player's coach. You hear me?
Yes, he is.
And he stirs it up real good with the guys, personality wise. He know how to deal in, make you laugh, make you cry. I remember my time here with Sean. I came to a game with an army fatigue on from head to toe. And man, Sean laughed at me the way I got out of the limo, walking down to the stadium, like I was a soldier, So that's one of my fondest memories, with Sean Payton.
All right. Buccaneers, Jets. Now, Buccaneers are in our division, in the Falcons division. I can't stand the Buccaneers, so I'm going Jets over the Buccaneers. What you think, Troy?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which way the Jets are headed at. I think the Buccaneers got a little more readiness to them. I'm still not sure which way the Jets are going. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers, and that's my first time ever saying that. One time for the home team, and my last time saying that because I ain't with no Buccaneers.
Yeah, me either.
Well, you got Coach Bowles and Coach Glenn going against each other. Both of them are seasoned veterans in the NFL as coaches. And, again, I agree with you, Troy. I just don't know which way the Jets are going. So let's just see. I'm probably going to go with the Buccaneers on that one.
Amen.
All right.
Man, we're talking about football. Football is here.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking about football.
All right, Troy, what do you think about the Dolphins Commanders?
The Dolphins and Commanders.
Yeah.
Dolphins Commanders, man. Which way is Miami going?
Oh, he'll be back. What do you think, Coach, on this one?
Well, I don't know much about this new coach, Coach Halfley, with the Dolphins, but I'm looking forward to seeing. Anytime you've got a new coaching staff, there's going to be a little bit of a change in philosophy there. And
Yeah.
I'm really anxious to see what the Dolphins do. The Dolphins have been one of my favorite teams. Of course, the Cowboys have always been my team, but the Dolphins have also been one of my favorite teams as well as the Rams. So I'm really excited and anxious to see what Coach Hafley does.
Interesting. Okay. I think I'm going to go Commanders over the Dolphins for this one.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that was Thursday nights and Friday's games. Let's take a look at Saturday. So we're going to start with your squad, Robby. Cowboys, Seahawks.
Cowboys Seahawks. Well, again, that's going to be an interesting matchup, but I'll never go against my Cowboys. I'm really excited to see what these young guys that they're bringing in on defense can do. We all know about the firepower of Dallas's offense with those receivers, the really good running back, and of course Dak at quarterback, distributing the ball where it needs to go. But defensively, I'm really excited to see what Dallas is going to do on the defensive side of the ball. And what a great test early in the preseason to be able to go against the Seahawks. I'm going with the Cowboys.
Okay. All right. Let me get Troy back on. Hang on. Hang on, Troy. Let me get you back on here.
It's right here waiting on you, my friend. In fact, Troy, I will be in Dallas November 1st for that game against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
If you tell me you're going to be there, I'll bring the photos so you can sign it there.
I'll be here. I plan on trying to hook up with Emmett that game, man. I'm gonna try to get with Emmett that game. That's been my motion.
Well, listen, if you get with Emmett, make sure you've got room for a tag along. I'd love to see Emmett too.
I'm gonna try. I haven't had any luck, but I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Give it your best shot. Emmitt Smith, you remember we were talking earlier about when he had that injury against the Giants, messed his shoulder up. In that offseason, Pat Moore, that had played with Emmett at the University of Florida, was our new strength coach. He came in right after Dennis Tripp.
Right.
And Emmett got with Pat and said, "Listen, I need you to get me right for this next season." And so Pat actually rehabbed him, got him in the weight room for weeks, and got him ready for that next season. Wow. Emmett wanted to pay him for it, and Pat says, "Look, we're teammates. You're not paying me a dime."
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's love.
That is love. It's a lot of love.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm back.
All right. So Troy, what do you think about Cowboys Seahawks?
Preseason game. Not sure who we got at backup. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks.
Oh, you're going against your team. Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, this is the year. This is the year of honesty. This is the year of getting out your feelings and let's be realistic.
Okay. Well, I'm with you on that. I'm going Seahawks over Cowboys.
Yes, there you go.
Right.
And Troy, I don't know if you were able to hear me. Okay, I'm staying true to the blue. Let's go Cowboys.
Let's go Cowboys.
All right. Yeah. Eagles, Ravens, Troy.
Eagles, Ravens, man. Both of them have, Not sure which one's gonna play. I'm gonna go with the Ravens there.
Okay.
Yeah, they come back with a vengeance this year. I think first year coach changed, got the cancer out of there. I think they're poised to try to do something over there with Lamar.
Interesting. All right. What do you think, Coach?
Well, I don't know how much Jalen Hurts is going to play because he is the starting quarterback, but I do know that the Eagles feel like they've got a lot to prove this year because they did stumble this past year on offense, especially. So I know that Jalen, in my humble opinion, is one of the top winners in life. If you look at some of the things he's done all the way back to when he played college ball, when he was at Alabama, and he was actually the starter, and then he became the backup to Tua,
Yeah.
and then had to come off the bench and actually win that game, the championship game. So you can't count out the Eagles. I do believe that they've got a chip on their shoulder right now, feeling like they've got to come out strong and prove some things to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm putting my strength towards the Eagles as well over the Ravens.
And I hate to say that because my brother loves the Eagles and I love the Cowboys, and
Yeah.
he's going to rib me about this one. I know he will. But James, it's okay. Every dog has their day.
Amen to that.
Amen. Amen. All right, Jaguars Saints. Now, it's a shame Mike isn't here to talk about this, but I think that the Jaguars will whoop the Saints. What do you think, Troy?
I think the same thing. I think the addition of Lynn Cohen over there, the head coach, I think that's where Tampa Bay made a mistake at, was getting rid of him down or letting him leave out of that organization. And he's been the difference for Trevor Lawrence and that Jaguar Duval.
Yeah,
Coach?
I think that Coach Cohen will have them ready to play here in Jacksonville, and I'm picking the Jaguars.
Okay. Moving on. Rams Chiefs.
Yeah.
What you think, Troy?
Yeah, I think the Rams. I think the Rams are a more solidified team, even though we look at the Chiefs as a dynasty. They got a lot of uncertainty. Patrick coming back off his injuries. They bought in the Seattle running back, which was Kenneth. So I yet to see what the identity is going to be down there with Andy Reid in the club.
And I believe that Sean McVay there with the Rams, he's done an outstanding job there. He's been a winner everywhere that he's been. Of course, he's got a Super Bowl championship under his belt there with the Rams. They've got that new stadium. There's a lot of excitement there in Los Angeles. He'll have those Rams ready to play, and I just feel like the Chiefs probably are on the downslope right now with some of their personnel. And, you hate to see players get older and whatnot, but maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems to me that they've got a couple of veterans that are probably on their last leg.
Yeah, I think it's coming undone. I thought they would try to get some value for that defensive tackle they have to try to move forward there to help them out.
Yeah.
And they didn't make a move on him. I thought that was they could did what they did with Michael Parsons. Got some, I forgot his name, but I think it's a lot of value still in him, and they could have sold up some other spots.
I agree with you guys. I'm going Rams over the Chiefs for this one. Vikings Giants.
Not sure which way the Giants are coming, but I got the Vikings, got Kyler Murray, don't want to start in position. The resurgence of his career. I'm excited to see what Minnesota is able to do with this new offense, getting the ball to their top receivers, and winning some games coming out the NFC.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Coach O'Connell will have them ready to go. That new offense, they're going to be excited to get out there and showcase it against the New York Giants. And I'm going to go with the Vikings as well.
Yeah, me too. I'm going Vikings Giants.
Yes, sir.
All right, Browns Bears.
Man, you ask me, the Chicago Bears is the team.
Yeah.
Gonna make a lot of noise, man. You got Ben Johnson down there with Caleb. Caleb is a gunslinger. He's one play away from taking them guys a little farther. I think Ben Johnson have the Bears feeling themselves. I see the Super Bowl coming if they can hold it together. Not this year, not because it's the Cowboys year this year, but maybe the following year. and I'm interested in seeing what I don't know how much play Watson's gonna do, but I see they named him the starter. I don't think it was much behind him to choose from. So I'm wondering, has Watson got his issues out of the way and he ready to play some football? And it's been some years now. So, he has his money. Will he put the right product on the field this year? And that's what I'm interested in. He's been a great talent. He just need to put it together.
So Ben Johnson, the head coach there with the Bears, he's done a great job. He's got them moving in the right direction. I'm with you, Troy. They stay healthy, they can be a contender in the next year or so. They really can. At the same time, with those Browns, everybody always discounts Shador Sanders. They always do. But yet, whenever Shador gets the opportunity, he usually rises to the occasion and does really, really good things. Why? Because he's a winner. It was instilled in him to win from a really, really good football player, which was his father, Deion Sanders, that played for the Cowboys, of course, and played for the 49ers, played for the Falcons. So, that'll be an interesting one. I don't know how much Shador is going to play in that game, but I'm still going with the Bears.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, it's still up. You're still up. You're wondering what Shador. Shador is a winner. I mean, I've watched him. You've watched him with the right opportunities. I agree totally. It seems like he knows where the ball belongs at. My question is he in the right system? How much role does his daddy play into the decision making? With all the glamour that comes with daddy. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
I don't know, man. He's in a system with zero pass protection. And even though he did what he did last season, I mean, it was just sheer will with what he did, even though he had no protection on him. But still, I'm a Shador Sanders fan. All them Sanders boys.
Yeah, me too.
And so, in any game, I'll pick the Browns. But in this one, I don't think he's going to play that much. So I'm going Bears over the Browns for this one.
Amen.
All right. And last but not least, Panthers Bills. Now I can't stand the Panthers, and I hope they lose. So I'm going Bills over the Panthers for this one.
Okay, yeah, Jason, you go first this time. Yeah, I like that the way you just jumping out. Yeah, you can't stand the Panthers because of the Falcons, right? That's
Yeah, exactly.
division game. The question is, has Bryce learned from last year? Can Bryce put another good, solid season together? That's what the question is coming in this year with the Carolina Panthers. So, I'm excited about Bryce. I like to see what Bryce do. I think the Panthers is the best team in the NFC.
Oh, really?
From
Wow.
the South.
Okay. All right. What you think,
There's
Coach?
an old saying, Jason, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I know that the Bills, have gotten deep in the playoffs and they'll miss a kick or this, that, and the other. But to let Sean McDermott go like they did, it just, I don't know. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
And he is a good football coach that they let go. Now, let's see what Coach Brady does, if he can actually build on. But really, there's not much room to improve with that Bills team now that he has taken over. But there's a long way he can go down.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I mean, with the expectations already there, you got your franchise quarterback in place. I can't believe they let him go, like the coach go like that, man.
Listen,
it's like they just dumped it on him.
I think back when I took that job at Savannah State, and people thought I was crazy to do it. I was like, you know what? They've won one game in 5 years before I got there.
Yeah.
Where else could I couldn't do any worse.
Yeah,
The only way we could go was up, man.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
But in
That's
this
it.
situation, Coach Brady, he is stepping into a hornet's nest.
Yes, he
If
is.
they don't produce, man, he is going to be tarred and feathered and sent out of town on a rail.
Yeah, I'm talking about, and you in the AFC with the Burrows, the Jacksons, the Mahomes possibly. You got the new kid coming on the block down in New England. You got a lot of stuff over there, man, that you just got to get through. And that's why I said a couple of years ago that if we can if we can get Lamar Jackson, this is what I said. Now, I'm not against the Cowboys. Now, I love the Cowboys. But I think if we can get Lamar Jackson here with this offense that we have here, and you put Dak Prescott out there in Baltimore, I think that's the only way Lamar's going to see the Super Bowl. Going through those quarterbacks that he has to go through year in and year out.
Right.
I don't know where. And I don't know where. That's just my take.
Interesting. All right, gentlemen. So, let me get Troy back on here. No, you still there, man.
Good.
All right. So that wraps up all the games from this week. We're going to do a recap next week. So, I don't know about y'all, but I'll be watching closely on all of these games. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I mean, this has been fun. Awesome show. We're going to continue next week, gentlemen, on Thursday at 12, and we'll be joined again by Mike Hollis. We thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the games. We'll be back next week. Take care. Thanks for watching the Gridiron Circle. Join the conversation every Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern. Follow, subscribe, and share. See you next week.